This is a very neat little set of travelling cutlery comprising of a knife and fork. It's made of rosewood with pewter bands, and the blade of a knife and the tines of a fork are made of steel. Most of these sets with this very square handle are stamped W.H. Wragg Patentee. Unfortunately, we know very little about W.H. Wragg other than he came from Sheffield. We have seen other cutlery by him, pocket knives, etc., where his city of work, Sheffield, is stamped as well. But not much information on him. And certainly there were a lot of Wraggs working in Sheffield at the time. And later in date, some of them even had their own businesses. It's likely that others, possibly W.H. himself, worked for other cutlers from home or perhaps in a little shared workshop. Whether Wragg actually patented his design or not, we don't know. It's certainly stamped W.H. Wragg Patentee, as hopefully you can see that there on the fork. But it wasn't uncommon in the 19th century for manufacturers to stamp patent or patentee on their work, even though they hadn't taken out a patent, simply as a form of protection. It was quite an expensive business to do, and so not something that everybody did do. However, the design was very clever, very neat, and very popular. As you can see, as you slot it back in, the handle of the one component protects the blade or the tines of the other component. Now, we would date this set to early to mid 19th century. We've seen other sets marked W.H. Wragg Patentee, but were also stamped emigrant knife. Now, this would suggest that they were marketed at people travelling to the New World, New Zealand, Australia, even America in the mid-19th century. There was a huge group of people who went out, some of them looking for a new life, a better life, some of them simply following the gold rushes that were happening in the 1850s in those countries. So a neat little form of advertising marketing for them. But as I said, the design was a very popular one, and it lasted throughout most of the 19th century, we think, and certainly well into the 20th century. This is another example of an unmarked set, which is later. It's got, as you can see, mahogany handles. They're far more rounded in shape than the very square Wragg handle. You've got brass bands just to the end, and the blade and the fork is a little bit chunkier, larger. We've also seen sets that had an extra band on the knife or the fork where you could slot in a spoon, and these were certainly used in the First World War and well into the 20th century. But I wish we could find out more about Wragg. I mean, certainly we are doing plenty of research trying to find out more on him. But he came up with a great design. These were also made in ebony by Wragg, but the ebony sets are far harder to find than the rosewood sets. And it's quite a neat little travel set for a soldier or even someone going off on a picnic. So there you have it, a set of W.H. Wragg Patentee travel cutlery.